Hi folks, hope you're enjoying the site and hope that the content is what you're looking for. In North America there's a man called George Barna. George Barna is a pollster. He runs polls to find out where to build a business, the best place, the best products to sell in that area, so on and so forth. George is also a Christian man and is known very well for the accuracy of his polls. Here in the UK we don't use polls that much. We use them mainly to judge how popular the current government might be in a few months' time. We don't really use them like they do in America. They use them for almost everything in America, in North America that is. George Barna does polls for the church because he's a Christian man. One such poll he did was why young people in the United States are leaving the church in droves and never returning. And a man took hold of this particular poll and he wrote a book about it. And quite often writers will take hold of George Barna's polls and turn it into a book, and they sell very well. George Barna did a poll in recent times which discovered that millions of Christians worldwide are leaving the church. In the United States itself, he found out that there's about 10 million such people that have left the church, and some of them are going into house groups, some are not particularly going anywhere. Based upon this poll, a New Zealander called Andrew Strom did a lot of research based on George Barna's findings. He opened a website and he invited people to contact him to explain why they didn't want to go to church anymore. Christians that were still committed to the Lord, did not want to go to church. And he found out numerous reasons why people just don't want to go to church. He found that some have left because of bad attitudes. We've all encountered them in churches, haven't we? Cliques, of course, was another reason. And power groups are usually those who hold the purse strings of the church and they dictate which way the church should go. Another factor was bad teaching by Christian teachers or pastors. Another reason, of course, was lack of Christian care and lack of compassion, indifference amongst other members of the church. So many reasons were given amongst those who Andrew Strom interviewed on his website. But the two most amazing reasons that came out were these. Some could no longer find God in church. Wow, that's something. Cannot find God in church. That's a strange one. And some left, not because they had lack of faith, but they felt that they had to leave in order to protect their faith. Wow. What's going wrong within the church these days? When we compare the early church to the church of today, we find some very big discrepancies. When we read Acts chapter 2 verses 42 to 47, we see young Christians, a bunch of people who were happy to meet together, break bread together, help each other out, miracles happened, and people were getting saved. Compare this with the church in the United Kingdom of today. We now produce professional churches where men are given titles. A shepherd in the Bible was a job description, not a status symbol. So were the other ministries such as apostle, prophet. These were jobs. But now we've turned these jobs into status, a badge that we love to show off and boast about and brag about. Is there any connection, I wonder, between this description I've just given of the church of today and the fact that so many churches are struggling? In Revelation 2 and 3, we have certain warnings to the church. Jesus says, I hold this against you, and similar things he says to all of the 7 churches, but 2 of them. There's only 2 that don't come in for criticism. He accuses some of leaving their first love. To 2 churches he accuses of false doctrine. To another one he accuses of being lukewarm and says, I will spit you out of my mouth. To another church he accuses them of being spiritually dead. You know, I wonder what he might say about our church of today. 30 years ago, or 30 to 50 years ago, I remember I was a Christian. I was first saved over 50 years ago. And the church, as I remember it, was buzzing with teaching that the Lord is returning. And yet, world events with regard to these prophecies of the second coming of Christ were very spasmodic. Maybe once or twice a year something might happen that was prophesied about in the Bible. Very spasmodic. But nowadays, prophetic events are happening on a daily basis. And yet very few churches mention it anymore. You know, I read that the Apostle Paul said, encourage one another with these words. Which words? Which words is he talking about? Well, he'd just been talking about the coming of the Lord. He says, encourage one another with these words. The Lord is coming back. You know, folks, it's time for the church to wake up and realise how seriously bad things are in this world today. We need to be praying and witnessing to folks while we can. On this site I will be reporting a lot of the news, especially about the Middle East, because that's where the prophecies are about to happen. It's no us looking to England or the United States of America or Europe perhaps, though some things will be happening in Europe, but it's mainly in the Middle East that we need to be looking, because that's where the prophecies are going to be fulfilled. So again, welcome to the new site, folks, and I hope that you'll benefit from it, be blessed by it, learn something from it. I've got some audio talks that I'm having to put on in a video format because they're too long, too large. The audio is too large for this site, so I'm putting them on video where I store it on YouTube. So look at some of these. They will appear to be videos, but in actual fact it is an audio talk. But I think you'll find that they are superb, and every Christian should listen to them. Be encouraged, folks. Christ is coming soon. God bless you all. Bye for now.